Yeah, that's a great question. It's funny because oftentimes buyers, they sort of self-prescribe, right? They say, well, this is what I need. And they'll come to me and we'll start having a conversation about, what they want to do. And I'm like, well, that may not be the best fit for you. You might be better off with, again, like maybe a DSCR loan or a bank statement loan or whatever the case is. Or, they're coming in with a fix and flip. I have a lot of young borrowers and see, hey, we want to buy a piece of property and build a house on it. And the first thing I ask them is, how's your marriage? And they're like, it's great. Why would you ask? I'm like, because it's going to be tested while you're building this house. Right. But, yeah, a lot of people, I call it the gospel of Google. They get on the internet, they hear somebody on
Yep.
Instagram or whatever, and they know exactly what they need to do. And it's going to fit their needs. And they start having a conversation with somebody and we find out that their goals or what they think, what they've self-prescribed, right, is not really a match for what they want to do.
Welcome to the Texas Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview Texas real estate professionals from active real estate investors, lenders, property managers, and many others that provide goods and services into the real estate investing industry in the great state of Texas. Our goal is simple: to share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level, and to meet the pros that can help you get there. Texas Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs build the business they need to live the life that they've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Chris Kimble, is a lender with CMG Home Loans and his team, the Kimble lending team. Chris is based out of Houston, and CMG primarily works with single family investors, 1 to 4 and DSCR up to 10. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dylan. I'm really excited to be here.
It's great to have you on here. I always like to start this show by asking guests, how they got started in the real estate space. In your case, how did you get started in the lending space?
Well, I got started in the lending space about 13 years ago, really almost quite by accident. I was working for a family business doing commercial construction, and we just took a downturn about 2012, and I had a friend who was recruiting for Nation Star, which is now Cooper and something else even after that. But anyway, long story short, he goes, come do mortgages. I said, well, no one's buying houses right now. It's 2012. He's like, no, they're doing refinances. And so that's how I got my start, was working for Nation Star, doing the HARP loans, right? The Home Affordable Refinance Program. It was the Obama loans, and then moved into the retail space. But that was consumer direct, moved into the retail space in 2013, 2014, about a year and a half later. And I've been doing that ever since.
Now, when we talk about the retail side, I think there, especially as a realtor, it's very divided. You don't have too many, although it does happen, you don't have too many people that will work with investors and, retail buyers as a realtor. You kind of have to pick one a little bit. Is it the same in the traditional space versus lending and working with investors?
I believe it is. I have a lot of realtors that have do really a mixture of both, right? They've got their they're buyers, and certainly they're taking on listings, but they're also have a handful of investors, and that creates a pool of buyers for them in many cases. For somebody who might be, I don't know, distressed or in a hurry to sell, they can bring in their investors to sort of complement what they're already doing. And I'd say, on average, you're probably, it depends on the realtor, but I would say there's probably an 80-20 rule. If you're 80% investor, you're 20% residential, and there's probably plenty that are vice versa, that are just 80% residential and 1 to 4, and those that are working with a handful of investors.
I want to ask you some granular questions about the lending space. I've had so many lenders on the show, and it's really driven home for me that, especially in this segment, construction loans, hard money loans, fix and flip projects. When we talk about this space, each lender is going to be different, right? And so, uh,
Sure.
what are the differentiating factors that you see, and do people come into it with a maybe a misconception, thinking it's a one size fits all, every place is the same?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's funny because oftentimes buyers, they sort of self-prescribe, right? They say, well, this is what I need. And they'll come to me and we'll start having a conversation about, what they want to do. And I'm like, well, that may not be the best fit for you. You might be better off with, again, like maybe a DSCR loan or a bank statement loan or whatever the case is. Or, they're coming with fix and flip. I have a lot of young borrowers and see, hey, we want to buy a piece of property and build a house on it. And the first thing I ask them is, how's your marriage? And they're like, it's great. Why would you ask? I'm like, because it's going to be tested while you're building this house. Right. But, yeah, a lot of people, I call it the gospel of Google. They get on the internet, they hear somebody on
Yep.
Instagram or whatever, and they know exactly what they need to do, and it's going to fit their needs. And they start having a conversation with somebody, and we find out that their goals, or what they think, what they've self-prescribed, right, is not really a match for what they want to do.
Now, for folks who may be newer in this space, in the fix and flip space, I've myself looked at this, even though I haven't done a fix and flip personally. I know that there's sometimes, some I don't want to say hoops, but criteria that you have to meet in order to qualify, whether that's, hey, show me the deals that you've done. What's your record with the contractor? Are you the contractor on this? What's your exit strategy? Is there a general set of criteria that you look at when you're looking at, working with someone new?
Yeah, well, experience does make a difference. I flipped houses in the past. I probably flipped about 5 houses with my now ex-wife, who did a wonderful job of juggling contractors. But all kinds of things can come up, right? That people are just not prepared for. And that could be anything from the house sitting on the market for a prolonged period of time and they're losing money just through that holding process. Or permit issues, right? They run into somebody, they didn't permit something out and now it won't pass code, or won't pass an inspection, I should say. So there's all kinds of hoops. And the biggest criteria that I ask them, even if they're getting financing, is, do you have some cash set aside for contingencies? So, that is a big thing. It's like, you just don't think you're going to get a loan and you're going to be completely prepared.
When folks are coming to you and your team, um, I've noticed this trend. It does seem like fix and flip is harder, but I've also had guests on this show tell me that I'm wrong, and that there's just as much fix and flip happening now as there was beforehand. In Houston specifically, are you seeing more momentum in the new construction area? Are you still seeing a lot happening in fix and flip?
There's still a lot happening with fix and flip because of the regentrification or gentrification, however that word is used, right? There's all these places that people hadn't considered living before, where now investors can go in and find a deal, bring in their contractors and make it a really nice place, and charge a pretty penny because of the location, right? Location solves everything. And again, places like Glendale Park or even the Heights, right? I remember when the Heights was. Um, a place you didn't go after dark, right? And this would have been the 1980s and 90s, right? But now it's, it's like one of the most, or maybe the most popular area in Houston. And we see, 1.3 and 1.4. I mean, it's crazy to think that those um, properties command that much, and some of it's new construction, but a lot of it's renovated. And you've got some other challenges there that revolve around the historic neighborhood designation, right? So there's a whole nother set of criteria that they have to fulfill, right, to make that flip work and make it cost effective for them.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Right. When I actually visited Houston, I experienced this personally. You're jogging my memory. I was in the third ward in August, which I
Sure.
don't know why. I don't know much about the different neighborhoods within Houston. I hadn't associated in my mind the third ward with being this super nice area. It was so nice. There was like yoga studio, cycling studio, retail area, first watch, brunch. I was visiting my buddy who was a guest of this show and realtor, and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful area. But then right at what felt like the edge, you also had it was so wild to see, really distressed properties, very visibly distressed properties. And then juxtapose that immediately, it was like beautiful townhomes, as well as retail areas. So I can say firsthand that's what was happening.
Yeah, and that is true. I've seen it. Again, I wish I had known more about investing when I was younger because it has amazed me, right? There are parts of town. I was with a cycling team for years and years, and we'd cycle all over Houston just on weeknight rides, and you'd see these new construction signs popping up in areas where you thought nobody would want to move, right? These whole areas were being transformed, like even Acres Homes, which is kind of a weird area in town with great big lots, is starting to be transformed. But going back to the wards, right? Those are inner city, close to downtown. There's Fifth Ward, Fourth Ward, and Third Ward. And yeah, it has transformed unbelievably. And it's again, there's this challenge, this push pull, really, with people wanting to live closer to work, closer to be in the city, around things, have some walkability. But then there's the pull part of that, I guess, is I want to raise a family and I don't want it to be inner city, right? And the challenge is, like you said, right on the edge of these neighborhoods. You have, I don't know if you want to call it inner city blight or distressed properties. It's all of that is taking place as well. Or again, these communities are kind of, they become enclaves, is really the best way to put it, right? It's a small enclave, and it becomes a block by block neighborhood. If you go a block in the wrong direction, you're in the wrong part of town, right? Just that easily. So it's really
Yeah.
challenging. It's amazing, but it's good. And again, it's good. And
I saw
there's
that personally. I really don't have too much experience with that type of environment because it was, I mean, legitimately block by block. Like you're not even turning the corner. You're just going over a street and all of a sudden you're now in a distressed neighborhood. I was like, wow, what was here beforehand? And, someone's going to come make an offer on that home. And maybe that's that family home. So they might not want right now to sell, but eventually most people, they've got a price, right? And so you've got, these beautiful areas that are popping up. I could definitely see there being a huge opportunity for flippers in that regard. I want to pivot a bit here, Chris, and talk about just how large Houston is and how there's so many different areas within Houston where folks are active. I know as a realtor, for instance, that I've been told if you're going to sell in Houston, you've got to pick an area of Houston. Don't just say I am the Houston realtor. This is the area that I focus in. As an investor, are investors targeting specific areas for fix and flip in Houston? Or have you seen, folks might say, hey, I'll flip anywhere in the city as long as the deal makes sense?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
It's really a combination of both, but I had a realtor friend tell me, I'm like, well, how do you know where to go buy? How do you fix and flip? And he goes, it's easy. I just start looking for the new construction signs, right? New construction coming to a particular part of town. And like, okay, this guy sees something here that maybe I didn't before, or an area I didn't consider, like Fifth Ward now, which has been notoriously rough for, decades. It's got lots of new construction going in. So I think that's how a lot of people sort of guide their way, or, savvy investors, savvy fix and flippers anyway, are going to look for signs that the neighborhood is starting to turn, but there becomes a tipping point or critical mass, if you will, that you get in too late, right? So it has to make sense.
Yeah.
Nobody, I mean, people want to be, not everybody wants to be a pioneer, I guess, so to speak, in their neighborhood, right? But, and then the challenge, of course, becomes comps, right? What have you got around there that's sold? I've, taken this older property, fixed it up, invested, $100 or so $1,000 into it, and I'm planning on a certain amount of return or yield. And I can't get comps to support an appraisal for a buyer. So that can be challenging too. But I'd say that the quickest
I
way.
I can say, the regionality of even within a city, right, can be challenging as an investor, because especially if you're just looking at, hey, does this deal pencil, but you're not taking into account, the migration within a city, like you're talking about, like the Fifth Ward, and you don't want to necessarily be the first in certain areas. You could look at it, especially as an investor from out of Houston or out of the state of Texas, and say, hey, this is a great opportunity, but there's some risk there because, what's the trend of this area? And then also, too, you might force appreciate it beyond a point where the market will bring that kind of return on it. So you don't want to do a flip so high that you've effectively set the market.
No question about it, right? It really can be tricky, and we've seen these things fluctuate over time, right? And I'm, yeah, you can go back to 2008, what happened then, but we see areas, there's plenty of places where, even when I lived in the Heights, or Shady Acres, which is just west of the Heights, um, where projects were started and then not finished, right? Either they ran out of money, or they didn't think it was price may have been. You could see they've done the groundwork, maybe put on a driveway, and some site work has been done, but then the property sat for a number of months or maybe even years, right? So it can be tricky. And yes, you don't want to force value it, as you said, to something that's just not going to be achievable. And that is in terms of getting it sold or getting it appraised, or both. So it is,
Yeah.
it can be challenging. And the challenge with, it's crazy because we, went through the boom of 2020 and 2021, or maybe even partially of 22. And it was, it was a real boom time. And then we went, fell into 23 and 24. And the complaint for months was, well, we don't have enough inventory. And again, I was having this conversation with a realtor friend of mine. I was like, well, what's the problem now? There seems to be plenty of inventory, and buyers are still continuing to kind of sit on the sidelines. They're looking for, I don't know, the perfect property, or Again, I can't really put my finger on what it is. They're just kind of wishy-washy. They're not really in a hurry to make them, which is, again, such a stark contrast to what things were like, when things were booming and rates were low. And I think a lot of younger buyers are waiting for, rates to retreat. And I don't think we're really going to see that anytime soon. But yeah, it's
Yeah, no.
challenging. It is. It definitely comes and goes in waves.
I want to pivot a bit here, Chris, and we are coming up on time, but I do want to ask you, especially as someone who I grew up in northern New Jersey, I lived in Texas for 5, 6 years. I see just how appealing Texas real estate is, Houston real estate is in particular, especially for folks who, I'm from northern New Jersey. You're not going to find, lots of vacant land in northern New Jersey. And, while you might be able to do a fix and flip, the entry point is, 4 times, 3 times where it is in areas of Texas. Do you work with and see a lot of out of state investors and flippers who are looking at investing locally in Houston, but also anywhere in Texas?
Yeah, absolutely. They see the bright lights shining down here, and the migration that we've seen even after the boom times, right? Even though things have slowed down or supposedly slowed down, there, Texas is. It's hard to go wrong buying real estate in Texas. It truly is, right? That's what I tell a lot of my. Is it a good investment? Well, that remains to be seen. At the end of the day, we'll know in 5, 10 years, right? But at the same time, people are moving here in droves.
Chris, thank you again. Thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. If you're looking to take your business and your life to the next level, you really need to learn more about the Investor Fuel Mastermind. It's your shortcut to success. To learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other amazing entrepreneurs, 100% financing on your deals, member-only discounts, and so much more, please visit investorfuel.com/Texas. By the way, Investor Fuel is even Texas-based. Also, if you're interested in applying to be a guest on this very show, the Texas Real Estate Pro Show, please visit investorfuel.com/Texas. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app so you never miss another episode. We'll see you on the next show.